Sports. It's who we are. It's what we do. It's how we roll. It's wins and losses, highs and lows. It's effort, respect, and dedication. The High School Sports Beat. Sports. It's who we are.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on the High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. Welcome to our 10th season. It has been an honor to bring you a weekly look at Section 5 sports, and while we wait for sports to return, hopefully later this month, we take a look back at our first episode on 13 Wham! From September of 2012. Here's Bill Pucko and Brian Mazurowski.
Which brings us to Kara Houppert of Webster. Kara recently accepted a scholarship to attend Division II Slippery Rock, a basketball scholarship. You'll find her these days on the soccer field. The three-sport athlete lives. Here's Brian Mazurowski.
Slow, shake it out as you go.
For today's athletes, high school is often the last place where they will be able to play multiple sports. Webster Thomas's Kara Houppert recognizes this, and she intends on having as much fun on as many different fields as she can. Houppert is a midfielder on the Titans soccer team. She also plays on the lacrosse team and is a standout on the Thomas basketball team.
Soccer season's more like a fun sport for me. It's like I don't play soccer in the summer. I'm all basketball in the summer. So when I come to the camp, I'm more free spirit, having fun. I just come ready, being in shape. And then when I'm in basketball, I'm already training full head and I'm a lot more serious and down there. And then with lacrosse, it's more being in shape still.
Houppert's work on the court has earned her a basketball scholarship to Slippery Rock. But she found out early in her high school career that she wasn't quite ready to give up having fun on the soccer field.
Actually, 2 years ago I was going to give up soccer, and I actually, 2 days into their tryouts, I came back crying to the coach saying, I miss it, I need to come back, I miss the game. And when I did come back, we actually ended up going to state, so it was a great decision.
She comes in and she comes with an attitude, she's smiling, she's laughing, and that's why she said she wanted to come back. She said, I want to have fun, and practice, and she's always got a good energy, but she has fun with it. She's laughing. She gets the other girls going, and that was what she missed. And that's what she told me when she called me. I miss being with the girls. I miss being on the team.
Continuing to play soccer wasn't the easy or obvious decision.
My sophomore year in soccer, I didn't play a lick. I would go in if it was 5-0, and I didn't even care. It was more just being on a team and being on a competitive team, staying in shape, being with your friends, and having fun.
Houppert juggles multiple sports, but for some of her teammates, soccer is the only game on their mind. Thomas goalkeeper Brenna Mason had to stop playing basketball because of her commitments to soccer. It paid off for her as Mason will suit up for Colgate University next year. And despite her only playing one sport, her outlook on taking the field isn't that much different from Houppert's.
I do best when I'm having fun, and that's when I play best. That's when I get the most out of practice. And to me, if I go to practice and it's not something that's fun, then it's not worth doing because I'm just going to burn myself out and end up hating it in the long run.
Titans coach Scott Brown sees having both multiple sport athletes and serious one-sport athletes as an advantage.
What I love to see is even those girls who are a three-sport athlete, when they come, they bring something different to it. They learn something as well, too. And one of the things I think she learned was how to be a role player. And I think she took that into her basketball where she's always been the star. And she worked hard, and now she's one of our, again, captains. She's one of those people who, is a starter for our team. And then you've got Brenna, who's single, one sport. But they work together. They know there's one goal. Our one goal is to win games, get better every day. And that's part of team sports is how do you blend those kids together.
Team on three, 1, 2, 3, team!
Despite choosing different athletic paths, Brown knows that next year both Houppert and Mason have the qualities and ability to be able to excel on the next level.
When you get to college, it's a lot different than high school. And we'll talk about that, but these are girls that, I think can do it, and I know they can do it. It's just a matter of stepping up and playing and being the person they are, because they're great kids. They work hard, and outside the classroom, inside the classroom, in the community, they're the kind of kids that I'm proud they're on my team, and they represent Thomas, and I'd love for them to represent that at the next level.
Brian joins us now. Brian, in addition to the whole three-sport versus one-sport dynamic, there's a whole other thing going on here with high school sports, isn't there?
Yeah, Bill, high school sports really are unique. As we saw there, a lot of girls just like having fun on the field, and you have some people who are really serious about their sport, and for those two types of people to blend on one team, it takes a lot of teamwork, and you see that everywhere you go in high school sports. Yeah, it makes you appreciate
the coaching too, I'll bet.
Absolutely. The coaches have to really work with the different types of personalities they get on their teams.
Very good. Thank you.
After graduating from SUNY Geneseo, Kara is back in Section 5 as the new head coach of the girls basketball team at Mercy. Well, coming up next, Matt Trabold joins us for the High School Notebook. Well, that and more when the High School Sports Beat returns. Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the High School Sports Beat. I am Dave Yates. It is time now for the High School Notebook, and once again, this year we are pleased to be joined by Matt Trabold. Matt, thanks for coming on board.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, let's talk, of course, a lot of gray, a lot of unknown, a lot of uncertainty, but the New York State Public High School Athletic Association comes out with their guidelines for how we can do sports this fall. What are your thoughts? What's your take on it?
Yeah, so 8 o'clock on the night of Friday, September 4th, those in Section 5 country, including us and in sections across the state, they got to dig their eyes finally into the long-awaited 41 pages of the quote-unquote, the title for it, Return to Interscholastic Athletics. And that's to see if New York high school sports would be able to return. That document was going to show, can stuff return amidst the coronavirus pandemic on that Governor Cuomo's proposed September 21st date from a few weeks back, and just as importantly, what the fall high school season would look like if it could come back September 21st. So this document mostly expanded a little bit on the already proposed plan of September 21st, like I said a second ago, for fall teams being able to start practice and play, and then a few days prior to that, this also kind of got into a little bit the previously announced delayed start of winter sports, 2 weeks from November 16th to November 30th. So a vital part, and I tweeted about it, of these 40-plus pages was on page 3. It's NISFA saying it recognizes that the school district superintendents have the authority with these athletic programs, meaning whether high school sports will return September 21st or in January, etc., some other date possibly. So on September 3rd, I was at a rally of Greece student athletes and parents at Greece Odyssey, and that was their main concern. That point I just made a second ago. It was pretty expected amongst that group that NISFA was going to say that September 21st date was going to be the date. But then would the superintendents come together after the fact in response to that, and then in unison, which is the big part, in unison, across Section 5, and also say that September 21st date, because they have the final say at the end of this. They're a little bit above the NISFA, and even NISFA, like I was saying, has said that that is the case. So all in all, it's still a very fluid situation, as you can imagine with the pandemic.
It seems like everything has been with this pandemic, but what's your take on it? What's your thought on the how realistic it is to have high school athletics come back that September 21st date?
A lot of Section 5, maybe even a majority, at least the ones that have been vocal about it, have said September 21st, that's what we want. But who knows, in terms of the state as a whole with superintendents, what is going to happen. And it's that in unison aspect. And for me, I mean, I try to see it both ways. Like, I understand that there is a safety issue. I mean, this is a pandemic. We haven't seen something like this in a very long time, obviously, just as a country, as a world. But also, I mean, these kids really, and then mental health comes into it at that point as well. They really want to play. They feel very comfortable playing. That's a big part of the high school experience for student athletes.
And you think back about the kids in the fall that they lost out, and then you've got another group, or last spring I should say, they lose out on their senior season. Then you've got another group of students coming along who could be facing the same scenario. So yeah, it's just a catch-22. You're kind of in trouble whichever way you cut it. Real quick, some sports that are going on. There was a basketball camp that just took place recently, and we'll talk about that.
But you can always count on the Iglesia basketball camp happening. It was the 16th installment of the Free Hoops camp put on by Section 5 championship coach Gerard Iglesia, his wife and the camp organizer Karen Iglesia, and their son and recent McQuaid star point guard Anthony Iglesia. So it looked a little different this time around compared to the first 15 due to COVID-19. It was the first ever outdoor version of the camp. Masks had to be worn on the courts. No scrimmaging was allowed, and the camp action for boys and girls, grades 4 through 12, was spread out over 8 days instead of obviously a smaller group of days where you can get more people in there, and that's to limit the amount of people on the courts. And as someone who covers Section 5 basketball closely, this camp has always been a supreme showcase of current and really what's very exciting about it, very eye-opening about it, is that future local high school hoop stardom, that aspect of it, like what's going to happen next year or the upcoming season after that. So I remember the first Iglesia camp I ever covered. It featured soon-to-be first-round NBA draft pick Isaiah Stewart. Before he was even a freshman, McQuaid, and one of the coaches was former Syracuse Orange star Brandon Trish. You had a couple current Siena players this year as the volunteer coaches, amongst a lot of other volunteer coaches, talking about Jalen Pickett and Jason Hawks, who used to play at Aquinas. So the camp is definitely a rockstar institution for sure, and I think it even grows because not a lot of other sports are going on, and this is a big, great outlet for local, younger high school hoopers.
All right, awesome, Matt. Thanks, as always, man. Great to have you along. You take care, okay, bud?
Thanks for having me on.
All right, we're back with more of the High School Sports Beat right after this. Coming up next, the Making the Grade nominee with Kyle O'Gara, and the later Brockport Football turns the page and says goodbye. We'll have that story when the High School Sports Beat returns.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the High School Sports Beat. I'm Kyle O'Gara. Starting off our best of from last season, we have Anthony Noto from Honeoye Falls, Lima. Anthony is a 2-time All-American and 4-time New York State champion in wrestling. Next up, we have Eugenio Maria de Hostos Charter School's own Crystal Rosado Iglesias. Crystal plays basketball and softball for the Hornets and is described as coaches as a great student athlete both on and off the field. James Hallett from Honeoye High School keeps busy year-round by running cross-country, indoor track, and playing tennis for the Bulldogs. Some of James's biggest achievements include receiving the New York State Scholar Athlete Award for 3 consecutive years and winning 3 sectional championships in cross-country. Penfield senior Isaac Lehigh is a dual athlete in both soccer and lacrosse and has been on each team for 2 years. Isaac has a 98.5 average and was awarded the Lacrosse Iron Eagle Award for Best Overall Physical Strength and Conditioning. And finally, we have Hayden Smith from HFL. Hayden was described by coaches as the ultimate student athlete and is a 3-sport varsity captain in basketball, baseball, and soccer. In the classroom, Hayden maintained a perfect 4.0 GPA. If you have a student in mind for our Making the Grade segment, we want your nominations. Send them into mtg@rocksportsnow.com. Now here's Dave with our Section 5 Spotlight.
Thanks, Kyle. Here are some of the athletes, teams, and coaches making news in our Section 5 Spotlight. HFL's Maeve O'Brien has committed to playing lacrosse at Harvard. Maeve is a junior and has 2 younger sisters who also play lacrosse, Keelan and Megan. 2 Canandaigua Braves made the Under Armour Underclass All-American team for boys lacrosse. Congrats to Eric Platten and Elliot Morgan, both from the class of 2022. Local runners can participate in a virtual 5K run-walk to benefit the Willie B Foundation. Register online at runsignup.com and complete your 5K at Pineway Ponds between September 20th and October 3rd. Well, coming up next, Brockport Football looks to return to normalcy after losing their coach. Well, the Blue Devils story when the high school sports beat continues.
And now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back, and thanks once again for joining us on the High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. Again, we look back at our 13 Wham debut from September of 2012 and this story on Brockport Football. Here's Bill Pucko.
Which brings us to Brockport, where the football team attempts to turn the page.
It was moved across campus to its present place of honor, at the entrance to the Brockport High School football field. The rock bears a plaque honoring the memory of former coach Greg Pelletier.
He always maintained such a positive attitude, and he was always the one that was thanking and being appreciative of all the things that he had and the people around him. And that was a great lesson that he taught the people that went through that with him about how to live a life right up to the end.
It was the most inspirational event of the 2011 high school football season. Greg Pelletier, battling cancer, coaching the Brockport Blue Devils to an undefeated regular season, claiming their first league title and winning a playoff game. Pelletier died in February at the age of 39, but his legacy lives on through his family, representing Greg upon his induction into the Frontier Field Walk of Fame last month.
We feel very proud that so many people recognize what an impact he had on people in this area.
I think it was amazing that he could just step up and coach when he had cancer, and yeah, I think he's one of the best dads in the whole world.
Brockport will dedicate the first home game of its season in Pelletier's honor, and later this year, Greg will be inducted into the school's Wall of Fame. His legacy on the football field lives too, where Pelletier was succeeded by friend and longtime assistant coach Scott Nugent. The two came into the school district together 14 years ago.
I struggle with trying to use it too much, do you know what I mean? And I don't want us to dwell on it. So turning the page really was just doing the same things we've always done, and just trying to stay on top of our game and try to keep our program up to the highest level that it can be. It's something we've done all the time anyway, so really just to carry on all the stuff that that he was trying to do in the first place.
They don't talk about Pelletier too much, but he's always there.
And we have a picture of him in our locker room, and it said, fond memory of Greg Pelletier. We all walk by that as we go out every day, so he's always in our mind.
We think about Pell, and it just motivates us. We love the game. We love being out here. We love being around each other. It's always it's energetic. It's a good vibe.
Inspired?
I think all of us are, even the kids that weren't a part of it last year. And we all obviously loved him a lot. And he's in the back of our minds every day. We don't really talk about it, but it's something we all think about.
Sadesky is now being coached by the man who replaced Pelletier on the staff, Dan Pincelli. There's closure there. In a quiet moment, and maybe even in a joking manner at times, did Greg, and when you and Greg would talk, whatever said, next year when this is your team, right? Was that kind of a conversation ever held with you guys?
Not until after. Not till after the season, especially when I was thinking about who to replace him, and I would consult with him all the time. And I'm like, hey, what about Danny Pincelli? And he was at Spencerport, and we had all coached in the Eddie Meath team back in 05, I think it was, together. And he's like, you know what? He'd be great. He was the first quarterback I ever coached as a coach, and now he'll be coaching the last quarterback I ever coached.
Get loose, guys.
Brockport opened its new season with a win over HFL. The page has been turned.
Hey, cruising on, ready, break down, break down, break down, break down. Let's go, Devils on 3, 1, 2, 3. Devils! Right here on me.
The Blue Devils went undefeated during the 2012 regular season before falling to Canandaigua in the opening round of sectionals. Well, we'd like to thank the athletes, teams, and coaches in Section 5. Thanks for watching, be safe, and we'll see you back here next week for more Sports Beat.